Alright, here is a quick video how to remove your fuel pump, put a new one in a Mazda Miata. You're going to start by pulling out these little push pins. There's 5 of them lining the back of the carpet. Once those are removed, roll your carpet back underneath the top so you have some room to work. You're going to take out all of the Phillips head screws that hold this plate in. The one in the back corner is going to be easiest to get with the top up. Once that plate's off though, set it aside. There's your sending unit. Pull off these 2 fuel lines, remember which one is which. Unplug this connector, unscrew the 8 Phillips head screws that are holding it in. Then you can lift up and you can remove the entire fuel sending unit from the tank. Let all the fuel drain out of the strainer, or as much of it that will, and throw it in a pan so you don't make a huge mess. Once the fuel pump is out, I'm just going to go and throw this cover on there so that way nothing falls into the fuel tank. I like to use a pan like this so that way I can just take the fuel pump and throw it directly in the oven. Preheated about 350, 375, put in there for 20 minutes. It'll be nice and tender. So you can start by unclipping the fuel pump. Just push the tabs down and pull the connector out. Then you can take off this Phillips head screw. Once you get that screw off, this is going to want to fall off. Take off this black rubber band type thing. And the fuel pump's almost completely separated. All you got to do to separate it, give it a little pull, and the fuel pump will pop out of the metal. I'm going to want to grab these 3 pieces off of the old fuel pump. That's what seals it inside of this pipe. The white part I popped off with a flathead screwdriver carefully so I didn't break it. And then it's just an O-ring and a spacer, something of the sort. And then you can reassemble that on the new fuel pump. Spacer first, then the O-ring, and then the white cap. So once you have the cap, O-ring, and spacer installed, you can put the foam sleeve on that came with the new fuel pump. And then you can take that entire assembly and push it in where the old fuel pump used to be. Alright, once the fuel pump is pushed in place, you can take your new strainer and press it on. So I just carefully pried that off the old fuel pump assembly with a flathead screwdriver, and then just pushed it on with that flathead screwdriver to hold the strainer on. Then you want to take your new fuel pump isolator, is I believe what it's called, and you want to push it on there. Then take this pump support bracket and put it back on. Now you'll notice that the old fuel pump was a little bit shorter, so how I fixed that is I took a nut to use as a spacer. So I took a nut as a spacer and then a new longer bolt. That way when this gets tight, it'll hold more straight than crooked if the spacer wasn't there. So now you have your new fuel pump on the sending unit, and the last piece that came with the kit is a zip tie to help hold it on. Sorry about the poor lighting, I just have my phone propped up on my roll bar, so as soon as I open this, it'll probably find a way to fall into the gas tank. But the reassembly is going to be the exact same in opposite order of the disassembly. So you can start by putting the fuel pump assembly back into the tank carefully to make sure that you don't bend the float on anything, and that way it doesn't get caught on anything. And then you can grab your 8 small Phillips head screws. And yes, I just dropped one of those. Luckily, I had stuffed a rag down there, so that way any gas I dripped wouldn't go all the way down to the ground, and it caught my screw for me. So you're going to want to carefully get those screws back in the holes. Once you get all those screws installed again, you can plug in this connector, put your fuel hoses back on. I went and replaced these 2 fuel hoses with stuff that's going to be compatible with E85 because that's the overall plan here. That's the reason that I changed the fuel pump. All that's left to do fuel-wise is replace the lines that are going to be down under the car by the fuel filter that go to and from, or the rubber hoses, not the lines. And then the hoses that go to and from the injector rail up in the engine bay. Stay tuned, that's coming. Thanks for watching.